Views and opinions expressed in this production are those of the individual and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Shooters Nation or our sponsors. Information provided on this show is not a replacement for legal counsel or professional training. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows.
Welcome to the Shooters Nation podcast, the show created for you, the armed citizen. Join our hosts and subject matter experts as we talk about guns and gear, practical training and knowledge, Second Amendment issues, and the firearms culture. Be sure to join us after the show at shootersnation.com and become part of the Shooters Nation.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Shooters Nation podcast. I'm David Yancey, and I'm here with my co-host extraordinaire, Mark Lancaster of Squared Away Customs. Mark, how's it going, man?
Good evening. Going well here. How about yourself?
I'm it's not been my best week, but I'm surviving. It's almost over with. So I guess I could explain that a little bit, and the listeners wouldn't be puzzled by that, because it seems like the past few times that we've talked about this, I'm like bipolar in my introductions. Yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a bad week. But yeah, this week's been it's been kind of rough. Had the big 1 year birthday for my son last week during the Labor Day holiday. That was fun. Had a house full of family and here from pretty much like last Wednesday all the way through Monday afternoon. Somebody was here, and so had a house full, and it was just busy and hectic, and the birthday and all that fun stuff. And then immediately after that, my son started getting sick, and then I started getting sick. So it's the gift that kept on giving. But anyway, yeah, man. So, we were going to do the 6-month anniversary show this week, and it almost kind of seems like that's cursed at this point, but I'm going to stay positive and say that it's not. People listening are probably like, what the heck, man? Thought this was the 6-month anniversary. It's not live. It's not live. If you noticed, it's a podcast. It's not live. So we're going to do that next week. Really, for real. We're absolutely going to do that next week, come hell or high water. And it looks like we're going to aim for doing that on Tuesday. Let me look at my calendar, because I'm bad at math. Tuesday, the 11th. So this will release on Sunday, the 9th, which means like 2 days later, we'll record the live episode, which doesn't give the audience a whole heck of a lot of time to prepare, but we'll get that out there in social media ahead of time and hopefully get some good participation. So, but yeah, it's been a fun week. I mean, how about you? Did you guys go out of town for Labor Day, or?
Just up to the cabin for a little bit. And that was about it. And then just work. As always.
Yeah. Staying busy, keeping the populace supplied with Kydex and Mag Carriers and all that
so
stuff.
Much Kydex. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were saying that the new Tango Mag Carrier is pretty much going gangbusters for you guys, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't beat it. The versatility of it, you know what I mean? 2 Mag Carriers is all you need to pretty much carry any magazine for any gun that you need, as long as you're a 9mm fan, for sure. Any 9mm magazine.
Yeah. Does it work okay with 40 cal? Okay, yeah, 40
or 357 SIG.
Yeah.
We don't currently have one for 45 ECP.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it, I mean, I'm not sure if the listeners know, but a lot of what we use are custom CAD designed CNC milled molds.
Right.
And these molds are not cheap. The design is not cheap. The milling process is not cheap. They're milled out of aluminum.
Sure. Like
stock, like bar aluminum.
Billet aluminum. It's not cheap to work with that stuff.
Yep. And they're just, we do so few for 45 and 10 mil. We just haven't gone there yet. But these Tango Mag Carriers, if you do the single stack, it works for 1911s, it works for XDSs, it works for Glock 43s. If you do the double stack, I've not found a double stack 940 or 357 SIG mag that they don't fit yet.
Yeah.
So, and they're super slim, they take up about 1.5 inches of belt real estate, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, our mutual friends that have them rave about them, and that's great. I definitely need to pick one of those up soon, except I don't want to make Corey go press more mag carriers, but whatever, man. I mean, I'm sure he, keep Corey off the streets. That's the motto.
Well, the mag carriers are me. I actually do.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Keep Mark off the streets.
Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of funny you mentioning 357 SIG. I had an opportunity about a week ago to pick up a used Glock 20. What the heck was it? Like a 29?
29.
Is that? Yeah. It's like the
Yeah.
Glock 19, Glock 23 size
Yep.
in 357 SIG. And man, the price was good on it. And I looked at it and I thought, I'm just going to put it back, and for no good reason. It's actually a pretty neat cartridge, but
it is. It's super recoil impulse.
Yeah.
It's a snappy gun. My biggest complaint about it is the price of ammo.
Yeah.
It's not easy to find.
Yeah. I think it was probably cheaper a couple years back when more like highway patrol agencies used it.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of gotten less popular, but
starting to see a lot of those 29s. And I forget what the larger one is, the 17 size.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is it the
32?
24? I don't know. Is there 24? I'm going to have to go Google it. Yeah. You turn to the old Google machine and see.
But, I'm starting to see a lot more of them in the secondary market for LE trades because law enforcement, they're starting to wear out. They're starting to, not to mention if it's 9mm, it's king and even LE, big majority of LE are switching back to 9mm.
Yeah.
They all went on the 40 caliber bandwagon. Someone on 357 SIG. Many have been on 45 for a long time. And the more you talk to the agencies, the more you're hearing that they're, switching to 9.
Switching over to 9.
What's funny is that they learned this 3 different agencies, and I just talked to another guy today from not today, this last weekend from Southern New Hampshire law enforcement agency, and he's like, Mark, he's like, it's the dangest thing. We have a female officer, and she was just having a hell of a time with groups, so we figured we'd maybe get her. They gave her a friggin' P220.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a big gun.
SIG, double action, single action.
Yep.
Gun. And, so we got her into a P320 and her group's like cut like in third. Yeah. She was shooting so much better. And he said, then we stuck it in a few other male officers and the same thing happened. Their initial group of the 220 was good. Not quite as bad as hers was,
right?
But there was still significant improvement, significant enough for us to make be like, maybe we need to do something.
Yeah, right. Maybe there's something to this.
So they started looking into the ballistics and 9mm ammo, and it's a different technology today. Sure. And the ammo ballistics, and then the round count. You get more rounds.
Yep.
So more opportunities to miss. You get less recoil, so you get faster follow-up shots.
Right.
You get cheaper ammo, so it's cheaper to train.
Absolutely is.
And those are all reasons why I'm a huge proponent of 9mm.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of gotten away from. I've still got, I think, 240 calibers in my personal collection. I've got an old H&K P2000, and it's just a neat gun. I like it, so I kept it around. And I've got an M&P 40, one of the very first M&P pistols that came out in like 2005, I want to say it was. And I was actually shopping for a Glock 23 when I walked into a gun shop here locally, and they happened to have a Smith & Wesson rep in that weekend doing a big promo on this new M&P pistol. And my first thought was, Smith & Wesson, I remember you guys, you betrayed us, a few years prior, during the Clinton era. And, he's like, different company now, we're owned by stockholders. They're mostly employees. We got rid of that other company, And, next thing I know, I'm walking out of there with this M&P 40, and I still love it. It's actually got the freakiest good trigger of an M&P that I've ever had. I mean, it's like the most Glock-like trigger you can imagine. It's got a nice, firm, crisp reset. I have been tempted before to take it apart and see why, measure things and see why. But then I thought, nope, I might take it apart and it'll suck after I get done with it. So I left it alone. But yeah, I did some Googling, man. I was wrong. So the Glock 31 is the full size.
I was close. I said 32.
Yeah, the 32. You're right, though. The 32 is the one that I was looking at. That's the one that's the size of the Glock 19, the Glock 23. So
what's the 29?
I don't know. Is the 29 the 10mm subcompact? Maybe that's why I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, in one of the local groups here in Tennessee, I remember one of the ladies that it is. It's the Glock 29 is the 10 mil. But yeah, one of the ladies on there carried a Glock 29 10 mil. I was like, wow, you are, I don't want to shake your hand because you might hurt me. But
Right.
yeah, that's a handful. I mean, heck, I had a Glock 20. Yeah, I had the Glock 20 Gen 4, which is the full size 10 mil, and that was too much for me to get my short little Shrek fingers around. So, I'm whatever. I mean, my hat was off to her for carrying a 29. It's like, God, God bless you. I hope you can hang on to that thing. But anyway, hey, look at that tangent. We went down one already. That's pretty fun. Yeah, that's what we do. Well, yeah, we really didn't have much of an agenda for tonight because we were going to do the live show. And so we had to kind of whip this one up on the spur of the moment. And you had a good idea. So why don't you intro that and tell everybody what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it may be a great opportunity to just chat about our, a couple different, theories, yours and mine, on what we do with range time, our range time. What's our routine on a regular basis? I mean, I kind of try to stick to a routine for the most part when I go. The routine sometimes changes, whether it's I'm going by myself or I'm going with people or with somebody or so on and so forth. But like what I'm more interested in is chatting about what your solo range routine is.
Yeah.
As far as like, are you doing drills or so on and so forth? So I thought that would be a cool conversation to dive into, and I think it would be. Maybe have some good ideas for some listeners, and maybe they give us some feedback and give us some good ideas. So
yeah. As you were saying that, I was thinking that I hope that the listeners send us some messages on Instagram, Facebook, email, whatever, and tell us what their range routines are, because we can learn from them. It's fun. We've had great feedback over the past few weeks about the episode with Tatiana Whitlock. We actually picked up quite a few female listeners and followers on social media, which I thought was fantastic. And they all complimented, several of them complimented, Tatiana and the interview. And, we want more of that, was what I kept hearing in the emails and stuff. But then the episode that we did with Mike Cicino last week on just the force on force and the analysis of the Clearwater shooting in Florida, a lot of positive comments there. So we're fortunate. We've got a very interactive listener base, I guess is what I'm getting at. And hopefully they send us some feedback about this one. So, I'd like to hear from them.
I got a few phone calls this week on the 800 number, man.
Oh, yeah?
And, we don't get a ton on the phone because we're an internet-based company, you know what I mean? So every once in a while we'll get a phone call. But I want to say 3 or 5 phone calls this week that mentioned the podcast.
Oh, no kidding. That's great. Yeah. Heavy breathing first or anything weird like that? Or,
no. And what's funny is they always seem surprised that it's me on the phone.
Right.
Like, Mark? I'm like, yeah. Hear you on the podcast. So I was like, oh, well,
how come you don't have your people answering the phone for you? Right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, man.
I am my people.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was looking at something else this past week, and the guy, I'm trying to remember where it was. It was something I wanted to share with you offline, but he said that periodically he likes to call his listeners. And I think this guy does a podcast in. So kind of like us, or if you go to shootersnation.com, it's almost said squaredawaycustoms.com. But if you go to shootersnation.com and click on the feedback link or the contact us link, there's a way for you to, enter in a lot of information. One of those things is your phone number, which we don't really use it ever, but this guy does on his, and occasionally he'll ring up a listener just like, hey, this is, Joe Blow from whatever podcast name, you got a minute, I want to talk to you. And he said it's really cool because he gets good candid feedback. And so far he's not had anybody tell him, to go pound sand or anything, but right. I think that'd be fun too. But I don't know, it might be fun to do that occasionally and just maybe record it and just tell him, hey, I'm recording this. Is that cool? And then we could play it on here, and it'd be fun. Just, have some live interaction like that with the listeners, because I don't know, why not? It's a telephone.
And speaking of interaction, I want to do, somehow, I'm not quite sure how we'll do it yet, but I want to do a giveaway for $100 gift certificate when we do our live show.
Yeah.
To Squared Away Customs for some kydex.
Okay.
So keep that in mind if you guys are listening. You want to be on the live show if you can, because we're we're going to add that as a giveaway.
That's spectacular. That'd be fun.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can do it somehow in the chat session or, I don't know. We'll figure that out. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be a neat thing to win. You can definitely score some really cool gear that way. Well, so range routines, right?
Routine.
I don't know. Why don't you go first? I mean, this is your thing. I'm interested in hearing about what you do, and I guess you said that it differs depending on whether it's just you there or if you're taking somebody with you, right? So, if it's just you,
well, maybe I'll explain the difference.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think that when I am going with somebody, I am more concerned about safety.
Yeah.
For the most part, because it's just double the guns, right? So double the shooter, double the guns. And then, I mean, unless it's somebody that I really know and really trust, I've always just kind of got that eye. It's like, what's going on? Just kind of keeping an eye out. Right. But I kind of look at it as a little bit more of a social thing. You know what I mean? You're going to the range with your buddy.
I get that.
And you're spitballing and whatever you want to call it. And you're chit chatting. Here, try my gun. Here, you try my gun. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's very different. And I'm in a completely different mindset than when I'm by myself. Because when I'm by myself, I am like laser focused. This is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm here to work on. This is what I want to be doing better by the time I leave. And I set little triggers to try and catch myself making mistakes, and we can go over those in a bit. But it's a very completely different mindset. Like, I'm not going there to work. I'm going there to enjoy my time. But when I'm going with a friend, but when I'm going by myself, it's like work time. It's not play time. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to do mag dumps and like see how many rounds I can get on target at 50 yards. It's more laser focused on my fundamentals, make sure I'm not skipping steps. And if I am, making sure that I figure out what steps I'm skipping and why, and then laser focus on them to make sure that I'm not continually gonna go ahead and miss them, because it's really easy to get confident and start skipping steps.
Sure it is. Yeah.
And this isn't just with firearms either. This is with lots of things. You get good at things and you think you can skip steps, the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are what makes everything, especially with shooting, with golf. These are all, I'm not a golfer, but I know I tried like hell once and I did not have much luck at it.
Right. I can drive a mean golf cart. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I can drive a long way. Like my drive, I can hit a golf ball a mile. I just have no idea what direction it's going.
Are you kind of like the Happy Gilmore? You like take a running start at that sucker?
I do those well too. Yeah,
right.
I just don't know if it's going to hook, slice. Very rarely does it go straight.
Right.
It only goes straight when I'm trying to get it to do something else. So,
right.
But yeah, I think that it's a much different. My mind is in a completely different place when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I like about it, and that I really had to, when I started getting more serious about it, getting more training under my belt, is like, I didn't always have so much time to go to the range. Like right now I live, like I can hear gunshots because we have an outdoor range.
Okay, right.
I can hear the gunshots when I'm outside of my house. So it's less than a quarter mile.
Very cool.
So I drive by it every day. So it's very easy for me to just pull in there. I got a box of ammo in the truck, you know what I mean? And, just put a few rounds down the range. But back when I didn't have that ease of access to the range and I wasn't maybe working in the gun world and I didn't have, cases of ammo in the shop and stuff like that, you get to the range, you're all excited. And the next thing you know, it's like, wow, I just burnt through all my ammo. I didn't work on anything. I was just so excited to be shooting. I'm just like, let's get my target up. Let's get this done. And, I was hurrying up.
Sure.
And now the biggest thing is just slow down.
Yep.
Calm down.
Yep.
And man, like back in the day, I used to go to the range of 300 rounds, on average, probably on average 300 rounds. And
right.
I burned through it in 45 minutes and got nothing out of it other than trigger time. But now I get a lot more out of 50 rounds than I ever did back then, because I am making sure every round counts.
Right.
And, just I literally get to the range. I just take like a breath just to let go of everything.
Yeah, center
and get my head right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Get my head right and just focus on what I'm there to do. Right. And that's to hone my skills. And then I start going through the little drills that I do on my own.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So How much time do you spend at the range if it's just you trying to focus on some fundamental or trying to advance yourself, right?
Yep. So I don't have a lot of free time. I got a baby, I've got a
Yep.
daughter, I've got a wife and a business. Like free time is not something that I have a plethora
Yeah,
of.
you have
That's
to
for
budget
sure.
that in, right?
Yeah. So, when I find the time, like the last trip I did, I put a new RMR in a gun. So that was a little bit more of a utilitarian trip because I wanted to zero the RMR. And then, so I did 50 rounds, really tuning the RMR and making sure it was hitting where I wanted it to, trying in different ranges, making sure it was going to stay zero. There wasn't any loose screws, so on and so forth. Just make sure it was good to go.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit less focused and more just focused on whether the object that I was trying to get to work is working. And then I did 50 rounds of just my work.
Yeah.
On skill. But I would say on average, probably 100 rounds, like 2 boxes.
Okay. All right.
9 mil.
What about an hour or so, give or take? Or
yeah, probably. Probably 50 rounds, 30 minutes type of thing.
Right.
I would say when I'm really focusing and just taking my time and doing my thing, doing it the way I want to. And I kind of take that break in the middle and make sure I'm slowing down and make sure I'm focused on what I'm doing. And I will literally make notes in my phone of what I want to work on next trip.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't do that. That's a smart thing.
Because I'll forget.
Right.
Because I am still excited to be shooting my gun.
Yeah.
I'm still excited to be at the range.
Right. That's cool though, because that never wears off. I hope, right? Because I'm the same way. If I'm there, I'm looking forward to it the night before, and it just, the excitement rolls on pretty quick when you pull onto the range. I've seen memes. It's like that face you make when you pull up the range and you hear the gunfire, right? That's me, right? But I hope that never stops, because that's part of what makes it so much fun.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times I will, fixate on one thing and just work the crap out of it. And then sometimes I will, just go with maybe no agenda and do a mag or two and be like, okay, well, this is what's happening. Let's work on this for the balance of the ammo that I've allotted for this trip.
Right.
And then sometimes I, just have one thing, sometimes I'm working from 3 yards and just working that 3 yards the whole time, like from retention, thumb pectoral index and just like draw, stroke, bang, 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 holster, do it again.
Hammer that muscle memory in there. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's some like little tips and tricks that I do that I think have been really helpful to me, and they still get me frequently. One thing that I'll do is I've got a bag of snap caps in my range bag. So, dud fake rounds that are the same shape, size, and they fit in the mag perfect and everything like that. And I always feed my mags out of a bowl, a little tray that I have in my range bag, and I'll dump the 50 rounds in there and I'll dump 15 snap caps on top, and I'm just loading mags. I'm loading. I'll be, just looking down range and loading, not paying attention to what's going in, just grabbing around stuff and grabbing around stuff. And then when I'm doing my drills, when you get a click and
watch where that front sight went.
Your front sight goes ka-tunk and almost hits your foot,
right?
And then B, you're not working on your action drills. You're tapping rack another round and get back in the fight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a double whammy, especially if you're not A, fixing the problem and getting back to work, but B, your muzzle's diving, right? If you get both, you're like, wow, I'm really in rough shape today. But then sometimes you get click and then snap and you just, you just hit it. Your muzzle doesn't drop. And next thing you know, you're racking your slide back, flinging that snap cap out of the way, and you've got another round on target, and it happens quick. But it doesn't take long to fall off that wagon and to forget about those little things. When your gun pukes, it's so easy to be like, wait, I have a very expensive agency arm Glock 17 in my hand right now. This shouldn't be puking, right? For one. And if it did, like, you're just staring at it like, why did you just
why did this just happen? Right.
Why did you just go click? Why didn't you go bang?
Yeah.
Like I will often just be like dumbfounded, but like, wait, it's a Glock for one, so they don't not work. But sometimes I will just, if you don't focus,
it's
head's not in the right place, man. That muscle memory is
brain
everything.
freeze, right? Yeah, I mean, we talked about this with Mike last episode about hammering things into the subconscious lizard brain is what I kept calling it, and that's one of them. It's interesting. Like the day after we recorded with Mike, my wife and I went to a concert in downtown Nashville, and we were leaving there. It was rainy, traffic was kind of sucky, and we were on a divided 4-lane getting ready to turn to the interstate, and the car in front of me went, and I looked up and just, okay, green light. And then I started to go too, and pulled right out in front of another guy that was headed the opposite direction. Thankfully, we both hit our brakes pretty quick. Neither of us hit each other. He was not happy. He was giving me the universal gesture of brotherly love, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. And my wife's like, are you gonna go? And I'm like, I realized that I had come dead stop in the middle of the road, and we're looking at each other, and my brain wasn't working. It wasn't like, hey, let's go ahead. And I froze. And I had this conversation with my father-in-law later. We were talking about the Cicino episode. He'd listened to it, and when I was asking questions, and I said, yeah, it's kind of like that, where if you don't train yourself to work through a failure of some sort, you probably won't when all the cards are on the table. And like you're saying, you gotta practice the failure drills with your gun. What happens when it goes click instead of bang?
Yep.
Yeah, that's I'm with you.
But yeah, snap caps are cheap, and it's a great drill. More than anything, just to make sure you're not anticipating your recoil.
Yeah.
You're getting a nice clean press, and the idea is when it goes click, your sights didn't move.
That's right.
That's what you want.
That's exactly what you want. It's hard to get that sometimes too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's a good one I use. I do that when I'm by myself. Because I, be really focused. But if you go a few months and you're not practicing that drill, you're gonna learn the hard way. So I try and toss it in like every 2 or 3 trips to the range.
Right. Are you doing dot torture, or are you shooting silhouette targets, or shooting C's, or what do you do?
Sometimes I do a silhouette.
Okay.
I like the VTAC targets.
Yeah.
I like them a lot.
Fan of those. Yep.
I like that they're 2-sided, and they have lots of different things you can work on depending on which side you're working with.
Absolutely do.
And then I've got some that were just just a human. We've got one on the wall in the shop. That's just a female in a liquor store with a bottle of vodka in her hand and a pistol pointed at you. That's I can't even tell you how many rounds or fake rounds or dry fire rounds Corey has into that chick between right. her and our mannequin for holsters.
Right.
We have a mannequin in the shop too. His name is Fred or Ted. The mannequin gets shot quite a bit too, but so does the chick with a bottle of vodka. But the VTAC targets are great because it kind of shows vitals.
Yeah, they do.
It shows the skeleton, shows the bone mass, all those sorts of things within the target. So I kind of switch it up a lot. The very last trip I did was dot torture.
Okay.
And that is a great one. I cannot speak of that one highly enough. Like,
people underestimate that one.
Great target.
Have you noticed that? I mean, like if you talk to somebody that's a serious student of the gun, they get it, right? I mean, they're like, oh yeah, dot torture. I do that all the time. If you talk to somebody that's never really done it to try to push themselves to make those tight groups quickly, they don't get it. They don't understand why it's such a big deal. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the great humbler, I call it. The dot torture drills are, everybody kind of dismisses that. It's like, well, you do it from 3 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, whatever, relatively close. And they're like, well, I mean, you're close. You can almost reach out and poke the target with your pistol. It's like, well, okay, but can you shoot a tight group from that distance? And I think they just miss the value of that. It's a good one. I mean, heck, you can do dot torture with just a piece of 8.5 by 11, plain white copy paper and take a Sharpie marker and draw some dots on it. Aim for that. It's cheap shooting. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's less than a box of ammo, I think.
Yep.
I forget what is the round count on that?
Well, I've always just shot a box. I think, like the last time I did it, it was 10 dots.
Well, no, they have, so box 1 is 5 shots slow fire, or circle 1. Circle 2 is draw one shot. You do it 5 times. So that's 5 shots. And then the next one is draw, shoot 1 on number 3.
Yep.
And 1 on number 4.
That's right.
And you do that 4 times.
Yeah, that's teaching you transitions. Yeah, you're looking at the same website I am, I bet.
Yeah. So I think it's 50 rounds.
Yeah, it is. It is. So
maybe 50 exactly, actually.
Right. They say you start at 3 yards and you've got to get all 50 hits to pass. And if you're looking at I'm looking at pistoltraining.com, and they've got a copy of the dot torture that you can print out. I'll link to it in the show notes. I think
that's what I do is I just Google dot torture and then I just right click save and then I just print out 50 and leave them in an envelope in my truck.
Smart. Very smart. Yeah, I would encourage the listeners to get in on some of that, because if you've never tried it and you look at it and go, oh, that's easy. Looks are deceiving. It's actually not. It's, especially as you start speeding up and you start doing those transition, shots between, like circle 3 and circle 4 and that kind of stuff. It can get in your head real quick when you start to see your groups open up and you're not putting your shots where you think you are. So, Yeah, it's a good one. I'll look for some different targets too, and kind of link them out there. There's probably some of these that we could just post on the Shooters Nation website for people to download as well. So yeah. Okay. Well,
so yeah, dot torture is a good one for me. And then I like the real person, because there's no bullseyes in a gunfight, right? So
you're talking about the photorealistic ones that look like real people.
Literally a photo,
right?
Like the one I have in the shop there, the chick with the vodka bottle.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember. I read it in a book somewhere. It's just like, we don't ever some military memoir, but they're saying in their training that they never ever shoot at a bullseye, because they will never ever be shooting at a bullseye. Right. They shoot at people. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah. So what about when you take other people with you? You're talking about like the social aspect of it. Are you typically taking shooters that have done this before, or are you taking new people, or does it just depend?
Very rarely will I take a new person. I don't have enough, new people in and out of my life to be able to go to the range with them frequently.
Gotcha.
I take my friend Jimmy sometimes goes. My friend Robin, we've shot together recently. My wife, not so recently, just because of the baby and everything. But
that's challenging.
She would go with me every once in a while. I've shot with Ian, and quite a few different people. Corey from the shop.
Yeah.
Another guy that works for us part-time, Don. I've shot with him a little bit. So yeah, I mean, when I go with somebody, it's more, my focus isn't on honing my skills as much as the social interaction and going with a buddy and testing out the latest piece of gear that he's got or I've got, and then swapping it over. And I just shot with my buddy Jeremy on Saturday. That's right. Speaking of gear, oh no. So Saturday, my buddy Jeremy shows up at the range with a new CZ Shadow 2.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. That gun will ruin you, man.
Oh, man.
I've shot one of them before. It's just, there's nothing practical about it. Like, you're not going to carry that gun. But, I mean, I'm anxious to hear what you thought about it, because
So, I shoot dot torture pretty dang clean with my RMR 17.
Yeah.
And I didn't... we had dot torture hanging up, but we didn't follow through the rules. We were just aiming at the circles as bullseyes, basically. And we were at, I would say 12 yards, 15 yards, somewhere in there. And I was like, all right, you got to let me try this thing. And I loaded up a mag. I wasn't paying any attention to him, just laser focused, because I've heard so much about this gun just being amazing.
Yeah.
And pulled up, blacked out rear, red fiber optic front, sunny day, it stood out like a sore thumb, you know what I mean? Just front sight focus, and just looked at that number 1 dot, and I went bang, and I was like, wow. And it was like dead center of the 2 inch circle.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I did it again, bang, and it was just a little bit, almost cutting hole. I was just like, wow.
Start
And I was
clover
like,
leafing them like
third
that.
shot. And I was like, still right there. So then I started picking up the pace. And before I knew it, I went through, I think, 19 rounds, and every single one of them was in the dot. And I looked at him, I was like, this is like the fair when you're shooting the star with the BB gun.
Right.
Like, that's what it felt like, because I just couldn't miss with the freaking gun. And I'm just like, dang it, now I have to have one of these, you know, another $1,400 gun for the safe.
Right.
Man, oh man. And I was like, dude, do you mind it? He's like, not at all. And I had a few hundred rounds of ammo with me, and I just kept
you helped break it
up.
in, right? I mean, that's what you were doing. You're doing him a solid favor by helping him break it in. So
I couldn't outrun the gun. Like, it was just flat shooting. The trigger is like butter. It's nice, it's soft. Take up to a nice
wide trigger shoe on it,
and then it snaps like a candy cane, and it just breaks. The reset's tiny. The recoil impulse is nothing because it's that slim CZ slide.
And it sits way down low in the bore axis, is like in the web of your thumb. It feels like the
beaver tail is perfect. I mean, I've got a constant. I'm showing you on camera here. I've got a constant cut on my hand from
the Glock.
From a Glock.
Yeah,
because I choke up so high on the gun. I'm almost always. I do 50 rounds. I'm bleeding.
Yep.
And it's almost constant. I'm waiting for it to turn into just a straight up callus.
Have you ever thought about putting the extended beaver tail thing on that, or would it just not be comfortable for carry?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest problem is I just hate them sticking me in the stomach.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know, the back of a Glock is round enough, and it's kind of nice. So when you put that on, it's just like, eh.
Well, Smith & Wesson ditched the
deal with it. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say Smith & Wesson ditched the beaver tail on the M&P. From Gen 1 to Gen 2. Gen 2 is now rounded off like the back of a Glock, and it's for that reason, because it's not comfortable to have that thing jabbing you in the side or in the stomach or whatever.
Yeah. Funny, because I used to be a huge Smith guy, and I had more Smiths than I have Glocks now at one point in time, MPs. And as soon as I got them, the first thing I did is I took the slide off and brought it over to the belt sander and sanded the beaver tail off.
Beaver tail down. Yeah.
Yep. And then I would just round it off with the Dremel a little bit, and then I bring it over to the polishing wheel that we used to clean up the Kydex edges, and I buff the back off, and you'd never tell. And buddies would be at the shop, and they'd see me take the brand new gun out of the box and go sand it off, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that to a brand new gun." It's like, well, I can carry it this way because it's just brutally uncomfortable.
That's right. Yeah, make it comfortable to carry.
Yeah. But yeah, CZ Shadow 2, man, oh man, $1,400 marvel, but man, did it shoot!
It's a great gun. Yeah. You showing me the cut on your hand there? I just looked in the camera. This thing I'm pointing at that you can see, this red mark on my forehead, is from my son. One of the toys he got from his birthday is a hammer, like it's an actual wood hammer.
It's on the picture.
And he like pounds things, and that's his thing. He likes to smash stuff. He's like Bam Bam from the Flintstones. And I had him on my lap earlier, and he was holding that, and he looked at me and got this grin. I was like, look at you, you're smiling. Smack right between the eyes. It's like, oh, that hurt really bad. So I got this little red hickey thing on my forehead. It's just, it's a sign of love for my son. So we had a guy at work that moved to Tennessee from New York, and promptly went to the local gun range and wanted to purchase a handgun for carry, is what I thought. And he didn't really know what he wanted. And I told him, hey, look, just if you want to be safe, go buy a Glock 19 or a Glock 17, because you'll be able to sell it if you don't like it, and you'll get most of your money back. And it's a good, safe place to start. You can buy accessories for it anywhere. I sung the praises and all the virtues of the Glock. What's he come back with? He comes back with a Shadow 2. I'm like, wow. You could not have bought anything more far away from the Glock 19 unless you came back here with a cannon, like an actual cannon, with like on a trailer, like wheels, Civil War cannon. And so we shot it, and I thought, wow, that is just stupidly cheating, because, it almost went off when you thought about it. You didn't realize that your finger had actually pulled it far enough to break the sear. And man, that thing, it shoots like a dream. But I told him his name's Sam, and I was like, Sam, there's no way you can possibly carry this, because you're like 135 pounds soaking wet, and this gun is, from base of grip to top of the slide, if you put it in a holster on your side, it's wider than you are. You can't possibly conceal this gun ever. But it was a heck of a gun. I hope he's still got it, because if he doesn't, that would have been a shame to let that go. But yeah, I'm with you, man. It is a great gun. Well, yeah, I guess we're actually about 38 minutes or so into the episode. Maybe time for a midpoint break and
Sure.
come back and I can kind of talk about some of my range habits and routines. Folks, I really, we had no idea how long this was going to go tonight, and this might be a short episode, and if so, we apologize. But again, kind of winging it, and whatever, it's working out. So, cool. Well, we will play some lovely interlude music here. Probably a commercial, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes. So stay tuned.
Hey folks, David here. Did you know that there is more to the Shooters Nation than this podcast? Mark and I are working hard to knit together a community of well-informed, responsibly armed citizens who are well prepared to face the worst days of their lives. We would like to invite you to join us and the other listeners on our various social media outlets and become an active part of the Shooters Nation community. You can find us on Instagram as @ShootersNationRadio. And if Facebook is your thing, you can find us there at facebook.com/ShootersNation. While you're there, be sure to click on the link to join our Facebook Shooters Nation community. And as always, you can head over to shootersnation.com for more listener resources.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is David here with Mark, and we are talking about our personal range routines. And so Mark, I guess before we broke, I said we'll come back and I'll kind of go through some of my stuff. So throw out whatever questions you got. So like you, I've got a range pretty nearby. I think mine is not quite as close as yours. It's about a 10-minute drive to get there, but I can hear it from my house, especially if there's not a lot of road noise and I think it's kind of funny, like even which way the wind's blowing, I think that has some effect on it. Maybe I'm not crazy. I don't know. But anyway, we can definitely hear shooting when we're outside, pretty far off in the distance. So it's fairly close. I can get over there sometimes at lunch if I'm working from home. It's close enough to do that. But other times, my general routine is to try to get over there on a Saturday morning, like be one of the first people there when it opens. And like you, my routine differs depending on if I'm there by myself or if I've taken somebody with me. And so that Saturday morning thing, there's a group of guys that are almost always there, the same group of guys Saturday mornings. And I've gotten to know some of them. And there's a little bit of, this socializing. Hey, what do you got? What's new? That kind of thing. And, we do a bit of that before the range goes hot. And I think like the property opens about 30 minutes before the range goes hot. So you can get in there and, get your stuff set up and, kind of, to shoot the breeze with everybody and that kind of stuff. So I look forward to that. It's always fun. Just kind of cool to see what new toys people have bought. Lately I have disappointed all of them because I've been showing up with the same thing over and over and over. Right. And, for most of the year since we started the podcast, my routine had changed pretty dramatically. I was taking nothing but my Glock 19 and, I'd roll in and, start unpacking my stuff. And it's like, hey, what do you got? Got my Glock 19. And like, oh, dude, that's what you brought last time. What else did you bring? Just brought my 19, and they're looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And, it was really just kind of that focused, deliberate thing of trying to shoot my carry gun the most. Right. So I would do that. And then, more recently I started sneaking my MMP 2.0 compact into the mix. And, really I'd felt like I'd gotten to where I wanted to be with the Glock, and I wanted to try to get myself there with the MMP as well. And then, you and some of our other guests had really planted the seed to try the RMR, the red dot optic on it. And so had the Glock 19, turned that into the space gun, turned my Gen 4 into that, tricked it out with the milled slide and the RMR and all the goodies, the agency arms trigger that, got from you and so forth. And that was phenomenal. And I started kind of chasing the same benefits with the MMP 2.0. And up until recently, I had my M&P 2.0 compact that I had primary machine mill, slide for, and they did a fantastic job on that. RMR on that was just wonderful. The fit finished great. Sadly, I'm not going to be spending much time with it for a week or so. I hope maybe it gets back, quicker than that. But, damn the luck. I went to take it apart the other day, remove the RMR from the slide, and was putting the Apex 2.0 flat face trigger forward set sear kit in there. And one of the things that you replace is the striker plunger. Yeah. And man, they made sure that thing wasn't going to come off, and you don't want a loose RMR. So I definitely understand the virtues of that, but it was tough getting that thing off there, even with a little bit of heat applied with a soldering iron right into the screws. It was tough getting it off, and one of them stripped. So yeah, it went back to primary machine today, and chatted with Bruce back and forth in email, and hoping to get that thing back in the next week or so. Hopefully, we'll see. I know they're busy down there, so
yeah, that's never happened to one of my Glocks, by the way.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, I'm with you, right? I'm gonna just kind of take the high road and withhold judgment on that one, for the moment. I was using a really good set of wrenches. Like, I don't know, you probably know the name, but WIHA, WIHA or WIHA. It's it's like a $60 set of hex keys. It's not cheap stuff, right? And so, their precision machine, it's not going to round off the screw because it's sloppy or anything like that. It's actually a very, very tight, snug fit. Like if you put a screw on the end of that wrench and hold the wrench up in the air and shake it up and down, it's generally not going to fall off the end of the wrench because it's very snug. And man, if you're looking at the top of the screw with the wrench in it at like the 6 o'clock position, and you're turning it counterclockwise, I had that thing bent nearly around to the 3 o'clock position before it broke the first one loose. And, that was with heat. And I thought, man, this is not right. And, the other one, I don't know. It's possible it got cross-threaded. I have no idea. All I know is that I hadn't touched it prior to that. And, you want the thing to come off when you want it to come off, because that's how you replace the batteries. It's a user serviceable thing. So I don't know. I mean, things happen. People are human. Mistakes get made. I'm not saying that they did, not saying that they didn't. I'm just anxious to get it back and run it again. And like I said, they did a fantastic job on the machining quality. The Cerakoting was amazing. Every bit of that was a perfect experience. It was just a little sad to have it, go down on me like that. So looking forward to having it back. But anyway, so
not to tangent, but something I've had in mind. Sandy got the same gun.
She got the 3.6 inch version of it. So I've got the 4.0 inch, and she's got the 3.6 inch. But yeah, virtually the same gun. Has
she had an opportunity to shoot an RMR?
She has. She shot mine with the RMR on it and liked it. So
that just got expensive.
It did get expensive. Yeah. I mean, her thing was, and I mean, so you were talking about dot torture a minute ago. Like I use the VTAC targets, or occasionally I'll use, the name's escaping me. I'll think of it here in a minute. But anyway, very similar to that. And it's got little shapes like circle, square, triangles, and things like that on the perimeter of the silhouette. And you can use those for different drills.
Is it the refactor one?
It might be. I'm trying to remember who's got this target. Anyway, so she was going over and shooting at those shapes with her 3.6 from 5 to 7 yards back. And I mean, she's cloverleafing it. Like she was a little rusty at first, the group wasn't great. And I asked her, like, what are you doing? And, she showed me what she showed me the palms of her hands, because the 2.0 has got a really aggressive texture, right? The palms of her hands were you could see the texture on her hands. And I'm like, you're gripping that way too tightly with your trigger hand. Now with your support hand, I can see, getting in there, but loosen up your trigger hand a little bit, clamp down on it with your support hand, try it again. Cause I think you're moving the trigger or moving the whole gun as you pull it. With that one minor adjustment, man, she was cloverleafing the rounds, on top of the stuff that she was aiming at. But yeah, she tried it with M&P. She liked it. She just said that, it'd take her a little bit of getting used to, and she wasn't sure how comfortable it would be carrying it. And I'm like, you'd never notice it really, I don't think. So, Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's going to get expensive because arm are everything, arm all the things. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so my range routine, if I'm there by myself to shoot, and by that I mean the guys are there and stuff, but lately I've been taking 150 rounds, like 350 round boxes with me at most, and I'll load about 5 rounds per mag, and I'll go up and I'll shoot my 5 rounds, and then I'll stop and go back. And they've even asked me before, like, is that it? You're only gonna shoot 5? And it's like, yeah, it makes it last a little bit longer, but it gives me enough. It gives me enough shooting to diagnose if there are any problems, and then I'm not up there with 10 rounds in the gun, and then I've got to go ahead and burn them. Because, I think for me, I don't want to go up there and do something and realize that my mechanics are off, or it's just an off day for me or whatever. And okay, David, you need to focus and tighten it back up. And then here I am with 10 rounds in the mag. And it's like, well, I gotta shoot them all out, I guess, or drop the mag, clear the chamber, and then walk back. Right. So 5 rounds, I do 5 round strings. And if I'm doing good and towards the end, I'll go up and I'll run a full mag. And if I'm doing that, I'm probably doing some walking in the drill, right? I'm walking away from the target or moving laterally or something like that, or diagonally, whatever. And it's more of a scenario type thing in my head, to run a full mag. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. Yeah, I use silhouette targets. Might use shoot and sees. I have never really gotten into the note card shooting. I don't know. Do you see that at your range very often, where they'll staple a couple of 3x5 note cards on the backstop and shoot those? Or yeah.
Mike Cicino does that.
Does
in
he?
His class quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've just not done that very much. I get it. I think I might try more of that with the RMR because it's so easy to transition between your targets with an RMR. Your focus is on the target and not on the sight, and so it's way easier to do that.
Mike Cicino's just made me think of it. He's got a pretty cool target that it looks like he made.
Okay.
It's a 8.5/11, just standard piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's got at the bottom right, it's got like a 3x5 size index card.
Okay. Printed on it or something. Yeah.
Nope. Just a black outline of the box.
Yeah. And
then middle left, it's like a 3x3 square.
Okay.
And then top right, it's a dot about the size of a quarter.
Oh, wow.
Or circle about the size of a quarter. And the drill is, I think, and he's probably going to yell at me for getting this wrong on air, but I think it's like draw and do 5 in the big rectangle at the bottom. And then reholster. And on a beep, you draw, put 3 in the box, the square.
Okay.
And then on the beep, draw and put 1 in the circle.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when you draw and you're going for that 3x5, you'll have rounds all over that box, right? And then when you get in the square, you've got rounds all over in the 3x3 square.
Tightening up, right?
And then, it's telling, like, tattletaling you for, it just goes back to the old saying, aim small, miss small. Because then once you get up and you're on that dot, you draw 1 shot, bang. And it's the size of a quarter, it's 3/4 of an inch circle. Yeah. And, it's classic. And it's funny how the groups for everybody in the line change. It's not just you getting better. Like everybody in the line of shooters,
doing the same
their
thing.
Groups are smaller by the time you get to, so maybe it's 3 shots in the circle, but their groups are smaller by the time you get to the top. But when you got a big box, you're just all over the place.
Oh yeah, you'll fill it in. Right. I mean, it's like, if you give you enough real estate, you'll color inside the lines, however big the lines are. The target that I use is made by Ops Gear, and or that's the company that publishes it. It's like a red silhouette with some lightly shaded red areas for critical, like brain box and heart area and stuff like that. But in the brain box, like the ocular cavity, like around the eyes, it's a business card size box, right? And that's generally what I shoot. And my wife even made the comment before. She's like, you're doing a lot of headshots, right? I mean, is that kosher? Is that like, is that not a bad habit to build in? And for me, it's the same way. Like if I'm aiming in the torso, I notice that my groups get wider because it's a bigger area, and I'm not focused on the fundamentals like I am when I zero in on, okay, headshots. Let's get them all inside the little, the critical triangle between the eyes and the nose and stuff. And it's I think it's a subconscious thing that we use whatever territory is given to us. If it's a lot of space, we're going to fill in a lot of space. So, that's probably counterproductive. Not what we should be doing, but anyway. So yeah, I do those targets and lately it's been a lot of just either or the Gen 4 Glock 19 that I tricked out with the RMR or the MMP with the RMR. So this weekend it'll be the Glock, it'll be the Gen 4 Glock 19 because reasons.
Have you seen that meme of the guy in traffic and he's taking a picture through his windshield and in front of him is like a bobcat on a flatbed trailer?
I have.
And then through the window of the bobcat is a red stoplight.
Yes.
Exactly in the center of the window.
It looks like an RMR.
Bobcat, and the meme just says, when RMR is life.
That's right. Yeah, man. When RMR is life. Absolutely. It's the Bobcat tractor. He's looking through it. Yes. I know exactly which one you're talking about. We'll have to drop that meme into the show notes. But no, I mean, it's right. And I tell you, since I've started dry fire practice with the RMR and everything, it's just so much better. And I read an article, I think it was in Recoil or something not too long ago, where the guy was talking about working iron sights back into your life, because if you shoot with an RMR so much, you can become very accustomed to it. And then if you grab a gun that doesn't have one, you are still looking more at the target and you're not looking at the sights as much. And it's just, I don't know, it's cool. I'm super glad that I started shooting with an RMR. I'm glad that I let you guys talk me into it. It's changed it, especially the older I get and the crappier my eyes get. It's so much quicker to shoot and more accurate at distance. So, weren't you telling me that, like, Mike or somebody, no, Steve Fisher was telling you, hey, I need a round in this spot. And like other people were not getting it. And they're like, Mark, come on.
No, it was Rob Pincus.
Oh, was it Rob? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a vehicular shooting. Well, I forget what it was called. Defensive tactics in and around vehicles, something like that. And a big part of the class was, what happens when I shoot this vehicle in the door right here? Right. What happens when I shoot through this piece of glass? And oh boy, I could do almost a whole show on this class, because although I didn't necessarily, let me say this, I learned a lot of very valuable lessons in that class that I wasn't expecting to learn.
Okay.
But it was very neat to be able to, because basically the first part of the class, what we're doing is Mark, shoot this door right here, and then we'd go and dissect the car to see what happened to the round.
Where the bullet went. That's
right.
Cool.
To see why it went there and how we did it. And basically what we learned is that vehicles are predictably unpredictable.
Yeah. Yeah.
We learned what happens to the round when you shoot through glass going from inside to outside, what happens when you shoot through glass going from outside to inside. And then, like I said, we tear the door panels apart and figure out like why the round did what it did.
Yeah. We
figured out how rugged like the pillar part areas are. And then I think the biggest, I'm totally tangenting this right now, but the most telling thing that I learned in that class was 100% the lesson of, and it just showed me why, more than just hearing it.
Yeah.
Not crowding your cover.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I can get that.
It was so easy to skip bullets off the side of a car.
Right. Yeah.
Like, skip them like a stone on a lake.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Easier than a stone
it happens
on
the hood too. I've seen it in classes.
On the hood, on the glass. I was able to skip rounds off glass and hit targets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So the bad guy's shooting at you from an angle.
Yep.
But he hits the side panel and misses.
Right.
But with the skip, because you're crowding your cover,
he still gets you.
Hits you.
Yeah.
But if you weren't crowding, if you were further back, that round would then deviate past you.
Yep.
You know, it's really easy to draw, kind of hard to explain. But man, oh man, it was some serious takeaways from that class.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool. So several things came to mind. First of all, Rob Pincus gets a lot of grief sometimes from people that, feel like he's too brainy, but in my opinion, you need to mix in training from guys like Rob that are going to take the professor approach and really get into the physics and the whys and deep diving into the mind side of it. So that's good. You got to mix that in. There's a lot of, I'm going to use the term knuckle draggers out there, that teach really good classes, right? Brute force solves a lot of problems, but you also need the professors like, Rob that can get in there and hey, let's shoot this thing and then dissect it and see where it went. Right. So that's important. Second thought was, man, that really makes me want to take a William Petty class. Right?
VCQB.
Yeah.
Bad.
So
Did we talk about this on the show?
We have talked about it a little bit, right? But I started watching more of his videos, and like when he demonstrated one-handed racking a Glock slide by shoving the gun through the air vents,
jammed it into the air vent.
Yeah, man, like
so he can release, grab a new mags because what he does is so when your non-dominant hand is injured, what he does is he sticks a tennis ball in your hand and you can't let go of the tennis ball, so you can't do anything with your hand.
Right.
So just for you listeners to kind of give a visual, so you have a tennis ball in your hand and your gun pukes, but you need to somehow rack it. So he was showing different ways you could slam your RMR off your steering wheel.
Yeah.
But in one of them, what he did is rather than point the gun like in between your legs, potentially at your feet, flagging yourself, so on and so forth, he just like brute force drives this gun right into the dash vent.
Yeah, muzzle first,
like
right?
Like muzzle right in, just right through the vent.
Broke it all to pieces. Broke the air vent all to pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, rips the mag out, stuffs a new mag in, slams it off the steering wheel to rack it and put it into battery and then starts shooting through the glass again. I was like, I want to do that.
Right. I mean, that's like innovative. I mean, it's very practical. And, you might look at it and go, why would you, where would you ever use that? And it's like, well, exactly that reason. If you're your weak hand, your left hand, if your right hand, your left hand gets injured or vice versa, how do you reload a mag? And I've seen a lot of different things taught, and most of them are like if you're standing outside or laying down, and there's all sorts of ways you can use your belt, your feet, your knees, all that stuff, right? But if you're sitting in a car, especially if you're a law enforcement officer or something like that, and you've been injured and you got to get that gun back into action. Yeah, you can ram it into the air vent. I was like, wow, that's cool. Who would have thought?
His training is absolutely, I mean, I haven't taken any of it, obviously, but I know the people that do. Yeah. And I know the buzz and the word in the industry. And man, oh man, there's some awesome knowledge bombs.
Looks solid. Out of that guy. Yeah, it looks very solid.
And watching his social media, guys, check him out. It's Centrifuge Training, and his name is William Petty. I love he's got one video of the cameras on the dashboard pointing backwards, and he's got a shooter in the front and a shooter in the back. And he's like the essentially the range officer in the back seat of the car. So he's got two law enforcement individuals, front seat, driver seat, passenger seat. And he carries the stick. I don't know if you saw this video, but as they're shooting carbines from inside the vehicle. So they're pulling up with their M4s going block a blocker through the windshield.
Right.
And just to mess them up, he takes a stick and he jams it in the ejection port.
Oh, you're kidding me.
While the shooter's shooting. So it creates a malfunction. So then they're trying to clear a malfunction from within side of a vehicle while he's yelling, threat, right, like so on and so forth. It's just
adding stress. Yeah.
Oh, adding so much stress and getting that heart rate up and doing all this stuff. But man, that's awesome. Man, you can learn a lot just by watching this guy's Instagram.
Yeah.
So check out his Instagram, his Facebook, whatever it is. I can tell you one thing: if you want to get in on a class, plan on 2019 already because he's already.
Oh, no kidding! Yeah, he's booked up. Yeah,
he's booked up a lot. And
I heard that from Tatiana Whitlock not too long ago. She emailed us and was telling us that she's filling out her calendar now for 2019, which is hard to believe.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was going to say the other thing I thought about when you were describing, the skipping rounds off hoods and stuff. One of the first offensive handgun classes that my wife and I took together was with some police officers of the neighboring agency. Got to be good friends with these guys, but one of them demonstrated by laying. We were at a National Guard armory range, and I'm talking like. This is a 3-walled range. You're not going to accidentally shoot outside the range or anything like that. It was a very super controlled environment. And we carried a heavy wooden picnic table out onto the range, and he laid a piece of sheet steel on it, not real thick, laid a piece of sheet steel and showed us how you could skip rounds off of it and, hit the target. Right. And so his point was, pretend that this piece of sheet steel on this picnic table is a car hood, and you're standing behind the car hood, behind the car, using it as cover. Well, guess what? It's entirely possible for the bad guy's rounds to skip off that car hood and hit you, right in the freaking collarbone or in the middle of the chest or the head or whatever. Right. So, his thing was, again, kind of like you, keep back clear of it. But one of the things he told us was that as a SWAT team member, this was probably circa, I'm going to say 2010, 2011 for us maybe. And, there've been some school shootings and stuff, not too far before that. He was saying that they were learning, that when they would do training for like school response, active shooter response and stuff like that, when they come down the hallways of the school, the old way was to get up against the wall and go down in two sticks down the wall. He said then they kind of realized that you need to come off that wall, because the same thing, rounds fired down the hallway, they could hit the wall and then skim down it. And it's like the bullet would just come down the wall at them. And it's kind of crazy.
Lockers or metal doors or anything.
Or concrete block walls and stuff.
I was blown away as how easy it is to skip bullets.
Yeah,
this
nuts.
wasn't just pistol bullets. I was skipping 5.56 bullets. Right. I was skipping 308 out of an AR-10. I was skipping them. I was just like, this is bonkers.
It is crazy.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
it'll put a crease right down 10 inches down the side of the car.
Yeah,
and then divert off, and it was
it's not gonna buff out, but I mean it's gonna
it's not gonna buff
out. Not gonna buff out.
Would not be happy with that one.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. That's I guess that's why the old timers used to say it's not smart to shoot at things on the water, right? Because bullets will skip, and they keep going. So no, that's just that's one of the things I was thinking about when you said that. Let me think back to
Shooters Nation tangent. 940.
Hey man, this we didn't really have much of an agenda tonight anyway. So I like I'm embracing the tangents. These are always generally really good. So, thinking about my range habits this past year. I've been taking less firearms to the range and also taking less ammo. So I'm kind of doing the quality over quantity thing, but, that has led to two byproducts. I'm going to the range more often because I'm not shooting as much ammo. You got to budget this stuff into your finances. Even if you're a single, guy or girl, you've probably got other bills. And so you can't just go spend all your money on ammo. So, I've got kind of like
as much as you want to,
as much as you'd want to. Right. I mean, I've got like, my stash, my prepper stash of ammo, but I've also got like an allocation that I'll allow myself to shoot each month. And so, I'm trying to make that stretch. And so I go more often if I'm not shooting as many rounds when I go. But the other byproduct is I've actually sold guns this year because of this, right? I mean, weird stuff that I thought was cool to have, and it was in my collection. But then I came to the conclusion that I'm not going to shoot this. I'm not going to carry it, so I'm not going to shoot it. And, man, I'm going to throw it out there, and our buddy Mike, if he hasn't already done it yet, well, no, I think he has, because I think I saw pictures of it. I'm probably going to move my 10 mil Springfield 1911 soon, just because. Why?
This is 1911.
Well, yeah, I mean, oh man. So, do you remember the meme that I posted not too long ago in the private group about, I had the picture of the really nice 1911, and it said, "Do you know why there's no modern Model T Fords?" And at the bottom it said, "Because that's a stupid idea," right? And I thought, man, it's kind of, I've got a soft spot for the 1911. I always will.
Yeah, I rip on them hard, but I do too. Yeah.
But I am not going to carry it. And
nope.
I think I'm going to just kind of hold off for the moment on deciding whether or not I'm going to sell that sucker, but maybe after the winter, I'm going to just sit on it and decide if I really still want it or not. But it's a fun gun to shoot. And if you're going to have a 10 mil single stack 10 mil and a 1911 all steel frame, steel slide, it absorbs some of the recoil. It's a dream to shoot that thing, but it's, I think 10 rounds, and my trusty Glock 19 here carries more, and it's lighter, and I'm more accurate with it. and
it works.
it works every time. Yeah, exactly that. So I don't know. But I've sold some guns. I sold off CZP-10C. Seemed like a neat gun at the time. Got it, used it, realized it was kind of like having a
Glock 19.
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Everybody was talking about how it was going to be a Glock 19 killer, but like everybody else that's bought one of them, the mag release sucks until you've shot it a lot and it wore in, or you took it out and polished it. The sear and the trigger bar assembly and all that stuff were actually a little bit too elaborate. It was kind of stupid. I guess they had to make it that way, otherwise Glock would have sued them, you know. But man, yeah, the striker assembly in that thing is just really weird, especially the striker safety. It's not simple at all. You know, it's needlessly complex and uses different springs to drop like a little claw in the way of the striker. And I mean, if you take it apart, that thing, I launched that across the room and I thought, well, I'm sunk. I'll never find that little piece. And then, after I got done throwing a fit about it and ranting and raving, my wife walked over into the room and kind of looked around for about 30 seconds and said, "Oh, there it is." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." You know, it's like a Jedi power that she had to find lost gun parts. But I mean, I sold it because it was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, car guys will understand this, like you can either buy like a Jeep or a 4Runner, or you can be stupid and buy a big Mercedes G-Wagon, right? And that's kind of the way that the P10 felt. It's like, well, I bought the G-Wagon, and it's like having a psychotic, crazy, hot supermodel girlfriend. Everybody looks at it and goes, "Oh, that's cool." No, it's really not. You want her?
So yeah, I kind of have that place for the P10, like the P10C. Like, it fits nice. It feels nice. It shoots nice.
It shoots flat.
But it doesn't offer me one thing that my Glock 19 doesn't.
No, it really
not
doesn't.
One.
No.
So why?
Right.
So I'm used to the 19. I know the 19 in the back of my hand. The 19 is an absolutely die-hard proven weapon system.
Yeah. Simple. It's reliable.
The Glock wins for me for that there, for that one thing. Like there's nothing else that offers me. So the trigger's good. It's not better.
Yeah,
it's good. The reset's good. It's not better. The only thing that I would say that it has over a bone stock Glock 19 is front serrations on the slide.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. And if you bought the Glock 19 Gen 4 Summer Special or whatever it was called, that one had the front serrations on it. So there you go, right? And I think, when the P10C came out, Glock hadn't released the Gen 5 19s yet. And so it had the advantage of the ambidextrous slide release, which was fine. It's got a true ambi mag release, but again, you've got to have, the thumbs of Thor to press that thing in occasionally, at least until it breaks in. I don't know, man. I'm with you. It just didn't blow me away like everybody said it was going to. The one that I'm interested in, and I'm probably gonna, 6 months from now be talking about how it sucked too, is that Archon Type B, or the Strike B, whatever they're calling it. The Arsenal Strike B or Archon Strike B or whatever. I want to shoot one of those. I mean, it looks interesting. I think the problem with it though is it's got that beaver tail in the back that's going to dig into you when you carry it. So it's got that really, really stupid low bore axis and that aggressive beaver tail that seems like it's like, 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. So, yeah. I mean, I've sold some things off, and so I'm really just focused on the Glock 19 and the the M&P 2.0 when I go, and I've got two 2.0s. I've got one that doesn't have an apex trigger now, and it's just using iron sights, and that's actually what I carry the most of the two MMPs. The other MMP, of course, it'll whenever it comes back from primary machine, probably will eclipse it in carry opportunities. But man, like more often than not, if you catch me out in public or rolling into church or something like that, what have I got in my waistband? It's the Glock 19.
Glock 19.
Yep. Every single time. So I just, I love it. But, yeah, I mean, and drills, Yeah, kind of like you. I do dot torture. I don't know. I mean, I've still got some of the black shoot and see patches. You know, what I'm talking about, like, you know, the shoot and see targets from Birchwood Casey. They always come with the little black decals to cover over the, you know, your stuff, so you can get more uses out of your target. I don't have any more of the targets, but I got a bunch of the dots still, and I've gotten to where I'll stick those on a silhouette target and I'll aim for the dot, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's really purpose driven. It's you know, 5 rounds at a time, sometimes from a draw, sometimes from a low ready. Sometimes if I'm just trying to correct a, you know, mechanical mistake on my part, it's go up, take careful aim, focus on every aspect of it. You know, focus on the dot if it's RMR, focus on the sights if it's iron sights, focus on the trigger pull, and try to make that front sight move or the dot move as little as possible, right? And just keep doing the fundamentals. I watched a video from John Lovell over at Warrior Poet Society a couple of weeks ago, and it was about mitigating recoil. He offered some suggestions about how to position your support arm, you know, and that was kind of interesting too. He's really like one of these guys that's, you know, arms fully extended, and it's hard to describe. So I'll just link the video in the show notes. But what he was saying was, take your support arm when you've got your grip. You know, you got your double-handed modern combat grip on the handgun. You kind of take your support arm and you almost roll it outward. You know, without breaking the grip, you roll your elbow outward and upward, and that applies a lot of lateral pressure on the side of the gun, and that keeps you from moving this front sight as you pull the trigger. And he's right. It does. It's just a little unnatural for me to try it. The other guy that I've been watching more of lately is Frank Proctor. And Frank shoots not full extension with his arms. His arms are almost kind of bent at the elbows slightly, you know, where he's bringing the gun up with his elbows bent. Again, hard to describe. I'll link videos and you guys can see it. But I think in doing that, he's camming his wrists forward or downward more, and that he's using natural body mechanics to mitigate recoil. And, you know, when that guy shoots, man, like it's almost like watching somebody shoot an airsoft gun. Like his arms hands aren't moving, the gun's not moving, the slide's reciprocating, and that's about it. And I'm just trying to figure out which one of these works that way for me, because with a red dot, the less that slide moves up and down, the better you can track the dot. So, but yeah, that's kind of it for me lately. It's just real boring. It's Glock 19 or MMP, and that's about it. So,
what ranges do you shoot at?
Distances or like
distance? Yeah,
yeah,
range target. Yeah.
So the shooting range that I go to most, outdoor range, the pistol pit has a 25-yard line, and then you can work up from there. So you know, it's a 3-walled range. You can walk up in there, up and down. So I will generally start about halfway up. So I'm guessing that's somewhere around 15-ish yards. And then I'll move up closer distances. I very rarely shoot at 3 yards. It's like 7 yards or further back. And that's kind of it. After you told me the trick about the RMR, the fact that the top of the RMR is about shoulder width of a human, you know, male human being, average male human being at, what was it, like 25 yards or so. I've been trying that, and that works really well. You know, it's kind of like point shooting with the top of the RMR, not even really looking at the dot, and you know, damned if it doesn't really put the rounds right about center of mass when you do that. So
yeah,
pretty cool. But that's I don't do 3 yards very often. I don't know why. I probably should do more of that, because they say that most interactions, you know, self-defense interactions are in that 3 yards to 7 yards range, really. So yeah, it's arm distance, it's conversation distance. What about you? I mean, are you shooting more closely, or are you?
Yeah, I start close and work my way back.
Do you? Okay.
That's how I do it. I feel like I get the jitters out.
Yeah.
I get comfortable. I get relaxed. I get back completely 100% in tune with my weapon when I'm up close. And then as I progressively move back, I feel like I'm getting better as I go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's probably smart. Yeah.
Then by the time I'm done, what I like to do is I will always save maybe like 5 or 6 rounds. It's just the last fun rounds.
Yeah.
And I will just really tighten down and see what kind of group I can get at like 25 yards.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right.
We'll never need it. Probably, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's more of a, it's more telling at 25 yards, your group is how good you're shooting than at 7.
Yeah. You're right.
Like if you've got a tight group at 25 yards, you're doing a lot right.
Yeah, that's right. Your fundamentals, your platform is all lined up at that point.
Trigger press, your front side focus. It's all there if you've got a good group at 25. And what's a good group? I mean, it's probably subjective, but
like the size of a paper plate.
Your center mass and you're chesting them at 25 yards.
Yep.
That's a good thing to have.
Yeah, it is. Sure. Yeah. I think there's a lot of very wise, smart approach in what you're doing, because if you start close, you don't let a bad shot get in your head from the outset, right? I mean, because I've gone about halfway up before and put the sights on target and took my time and pulled the trigger and nose dived it or something. Yeah, I did something fundamentally wrong, and it's like, wow, that was 8 inches off from where I aimed. Now that's in my head, and you gotta kind of get that out. Otherwise, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where every other shot you take sucks too. And I think if you start close like that, you kind of give yourself some positive reinforcement. And like I said, it's probably more practical too, that the average fight's close in like that. Wow. Well, so I mean, we're probably at the bottom of the next segment already, which kind of surprising, but I don't know. It's always fun just to hang out and talk about this stuff. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, my allergies or head cold or whatever it is are killing me. I'm finding myself hitting the mute button more often than not, and coughing and all that stuff. So I want to probably wrap it here. Maybe
Sure.
I'm going to be a wimp and do that. But, for the audience, thanks for hanging out with us and talking guns with us. Right. And yeah, really, I think what did we say initially, Mark, we want these folks to let us know what their range routine is like.
Give us some feedback. That's what call the shop, leave a message on the Facebook, join the Shooters Nation group.
Yeah, no kidding. Join that. Yeah.
It's fun. It's just us chit chatting and keeping conversation. The more people, the merrier that sort of thing works. You know what I mean? So join the group for sure. You can chat one-on-one with us. You can chat with other people in the group. Other listeners are all like-minded individuals. So it's kind of a fun place for us.
Some of our guests, some of our SMEs have started filtering into it as well. And they're in there. Right. So I know Mike Cicino is in it, and I think we can probably drag some of the other folks in too. And
absolutely,
it's a great way to ask questions and stuff. Just if you're on Facebook, go to Shooters Nation, our page, and then look for the link for group. I think if you just go search Shooters Nation Community on Facebook, it'll take you to our group, and it's Shooters without an apostrophe. But hop in there and participate. The only thing that we would ask is, just be nice. I think that's really the main rule is be nice, treat each other the way you'd want to be treated. But anyway, that's it. But yeah, so how do folks connect with you after the show?
The best way is info@squaredawaycustoms.com. That's the best way. Yep. And then you can always go to the website and there's a contact us there as well. And then if you need any Kydex gear from us, you can go to squaredawaycustoms.com. Make sure to use coupon code Shooters Nation.
Shooters Nation, save you some money.
Save some cheddar.
That's right. Well,
more ammo money.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely check out the new mag carriers, and especially if you're using something that's not as versatile, or if you're finding yourself every time you buy a new gun, you gotta go buy a new mag carrier. This might be the answer. You might not have to do that. So, and
they're quick ships, so you get them in less than a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know for all those guys out there waiting for the custom stuff, I know it sucks to wait, but just the backlog, there's so many orders
takes a while
ahead of you. That's what takes the time. It doesn't take us that long to make the gear. It just takes us the time to get to it. But
you guys are doing a heck of a good business right now, because like I've got 2 orders pending with you, and one of them I think the order number difference between it and the next one that I placed like a month later was like several hundred. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And so, it had incremented.
We're working our tail off. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Keep Mark off the streets.
Yeah, keeps Mark off the streets. That's for sure. But yeah, I appreciate all and you guys are using the coupon code, and I can't say how much we appreciate that. Corey and I and the family we here at the Squared Away Customs definitely appreciate it. So happy to offer you guys the code, but just make sure to use it if you're visiting. That's for sure.
Awesome.
Code Square Shooters Nation.
Yep. SquaredAwayCustoms.com. Shooters Nation is the coupon code. Save you some cheddar. All right. Well, so next week it will be on Tuesday. What did I say? I've already forgotten it. Tuesday the 11th, we're going to do the live show. We will be posting more details about that. By the time you hear this, you will have already seen these things being posted out on Facebook and on Instagram. Those are the two venues that I tend to saturate the most with our stuff. So definitely, hop in there. We'll do it probably, if I was going to guess, like 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday the 11th. And you'll be able to hop on YouTube on our channel and watch live and interact with us in the chat window. And we will answer your questions. Actually, that's the other thing too, is we want to know what kind of questions do you want us to answer. This is really going to be kind of like a live listener mailbag. And I'm going to not say that everything's open on the table to talk about, but most everything, if it's weird, we're not going to answer it. So we'll tell you that it's weird, but it's, if like the question is, hey, what does Mark smell like? That's weird. And we're not going to answer that. So he smells like
gunpowder and freedom.
Yeah. Gunpowder, freedom, and Kydex. That's what he smells like.
Touch of bourbon.
Yeah. Touch of bourbon. So, we'll do that, and it'll be fun. So we'll get a lot of the information out there to you guys on Instagram and on Facebook, and of course in the Shooters Nation mailing list. Hopefully you've signed up for that. If not, guess how you do it? ShootersNation.com. Look for the Mail Blast mailing list link and add yourself to that, and then you get announcements on cool things like this. While you're over there, if you want to donate to the show to help us keep the lights on and keep David off the streets, you can do that. Look for the donate button. As always, ShootersNation.com's got the ideal link. You can click on that. ShootersNation.com has the store link, and starting to filter in some colder weather stuff like sweatshirts and hoodies and all that fun stuff. And I guess that's about it, really. I don't know. I don't know. It's been fun the past few weeks, kind of leading up to the anniversary. I feel like we've kind of teased it. Had some good giveaways in there. You've got one that you had in mind, the gift certificate and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's fun. Also seeing the pictures of that stuff that folks have won. So shameless plug. If you've won something, post a picture of it on Instagram, tag us. We want to see it. We want to see what you're doing with it. Show us, daily life with that thing. If it's a hat, the one guy that won the one of 2 coffee mugs currently in existence with our logo laser engraved on it, he should be getting that here pretty soon. Love to see that thing in various places. Post pictures. We want to see what you're doing with this stuff. So it's always cool. Another thing that's stay connected.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go.
Another thing that'd be helpful for us too, as we are growing, is if you're listening and if your platform allows it, give a review on the platform. Like I know you can on iTunes. The iTunes reviews do a lot for helping the algorithm allow us to reach more people.
Yep.
So if you can, review it, we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely that. If you're an Apple device user and you can click the review link on iTunes, that is huge for us, because the more you guys like the show on iTunes and like the episodes and give us positive reviews, it moves us up in the rankings. And then when people start searching for gun related podcasts, they get us. And so far I think we're doing a pretty good job with this. So at least that's what the comments, are bearing out. And the few podcasts that I listen to anymore, Mark, it's kind of like I'm judging them against us, which I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but there's a lot of them that sound like 2 guys sitting in a basement talking into a tape recorder. And we've always tried to be better than that. So if you like it, plug us on iTunes or on Google, Play or wherever. And it helps us out and it helps the show grow. So, anyway, cool. Well, hope you have a good weekend, man. I'm looking forward to the live show, and I think it'll be fun. Hang out with the listeners and Yeah. Our audience has grown. The last time we did a live show, I think we had like 30 or so people on there, but man, the audience has grown a lot since then. So I'm excited to see what we get. So hopefully it's a good turnout.
Yeah.
If it's not, then I'll be sad. Be like the Sad David podcast. So anyway,
make sure to give us feedback, questions.
Yep. We want to know, what do you want us to answer? If it's gun related, great. If it's not gun related and it's not weird, we'll do that too.
Not even an answer. Just talk about talking points,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Talking points. If you want to hear our opinions on things or what have you. So I'm gonna have to find a good bourbon between now and then, and I'll have to have a sip of something there. So yeah, we'll talk about that too. All right.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Mark, good as always. See you in a few days, and listeners, hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope to see you in the audience on the live show, and we hope that you'll continue sharing us with your friends and coworkers and family members and stuff like that. But until we talk to you guys again, be safe out there.
The preceding segment was a production of the Shooters Nation podcast. Visit us online at shootersnation.com.